We're going to learn how to make a snowflake today. There's lots of different ways to make one, but this one starts off with a circle. So you need to find something to trace that's kind of a large circle that's about the size of your paper. If you have plain white printer paper, it's kind of the best because it's so thin and easy to cut. But you could do it on color paper or paper bag or even newspaper if you wanted to do newspaper. So any kind of paper that you're allowed to cut is fine to use. I like this circle. It's from a salad spinner. It's about the right size to fill up most of the page. You could find something slightly bigger, which would be even better, but something that is almost as big as your paper is best. If you can't find a circle to trace, you can draw the circle. So once you have drawn it on there, you're going to cut it out. You're going to fold it now that you have it cut out. So you're going to fold it in half, try to make those edges meet the best you can in half, and then fold it in half again. So that's your second fold. Now you've got a quarter of a circle here. One more time. So that was my second fold, and here's my third fold. It should resemble a pizza slice. This gets a little bit trickier to fold. You have to really crease it and get it nice and tight. So that's our third fold. The first time you do it, I recommend drawing out some shapes on there so you can kind of see how it works. You want to always start from the edge and go into the middle. You can do a really simple shape like a circle, something that you think you can pretty easily cut as you're working. I'll zoom in a bit to see. You don't want to get too fancy because you have to be able to cut whatever it is. So you could think of it like pizza toppings, but all of your pizza toppings have to touch the edges. I can't do a pizza topping in the middle because my scissors won't reach there. So if I do another slice of pepperoni, I can put it all the way over to the edge again. They have to touch the edges of your piece. They should not touch each other because that might make your pizza fall apart. So you don't want your toppings to touch each other, but they have to touch the edge. So I'm gonna do a kind of pointed little shape here, keeping it pretty simple at first. And the edges of your piece matter a lot. So I'm gonna do a cool little topping right there and maybe kind of a wavy one here. I'll get fancy, that might be tricky to cut, but I could try it. And I wanna use up as much of my space with toppings as I can, but notice that they don't touch each other. The toppings don't want to touch each other. These are these little spaces. They do want to touch the edges. Very important for the toppings to touch the edges. So now what I'm going to do, I'll zoom out a little bit, is I'm going to cut from the edge in. I like to use the inside jaw of my scissors because it's the strongest part, and cut along those topping lines from the edge to the middle. Sometimes you have to wiggle it to get out. That works pretty well. What you want to keep intact, you want to keep some little spaces between because that's going to be what holds your snowflake together. So I'm going to continue cutting from the edge. I'll cut all of my toppings from the edge on in, and once I have finished that, if I want to get a little bit fancier, I can start to add on to those little toppings. Right here, I'm adding little triangles onto the edge of my toppings, little extra flair if you want to get extra fancy. So I started off with simple toppings, and now I'm getting in there with my scissors and adding little tips and extra details, making my toppings a little more complex. So I'm adding like a little tip to that circle there, getting as close to each other as they can without running into each other because we don't want it to fall apart. And when you are all finished, you gently begin to open it up and reveal your snowflake. And because we cut it while it was folded up, means that when we unfold it, it's actually symmetrical. The cuts are the same the entire way around, showing radial symmetry.